One of the most exciting and I would say sometimes controversial characters inside of e-commerce. Is that fair, Colin? Is that
Super
fair?
fair.
Beloved by me, a mentor of mine, the OG of D2C, the Sultan of SWAT himself, Taylor Holiday. Get inside of this show, sir. Get in here. Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Okay, now the
Yes.
moment of truth. Can you hear me?
Pretty
Yes.
well, I would say so.
Yeah.
We're much better today than we
That's
were
good.
last week.
That's good.
Last
That's
week.
good. Good to see
Now,
you, boys.
Taylor,
Thank you.
we appreciate you coming on here. We've got an exciting premiere to be made, and I'd like for you to tee this up for us before we watch this together. But it's must-see TV, and so if you would give us a little context, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I needed to do a little hat tip to our community here, and I figured what better place to debut it than at the pulse of the D2C X community right here.
Yes,
gentlemen. So we have been in the process of releasing our Profit Engine messaging over the last few weeks. We've got a number of different pieces of content, and I wanted to make one that was a little fun. And so we created a piece here that's featuring some of D2CX's other celebrities and got them to come out, a bunch of the SoCal crew. And you guys have seen like the crew that's out there playing tennis in LA all the time together. You seen them posting about it, making us all feel left out that we aren't part of their cool kids crew out there. So I figured there was a way that we could incorporate a little hat tip to that inner community and have some fun around the messaging. So this one we're calling it Service Aces, and you'll enjoy, I think, if you're deep in the D2CX community.
Jack, let's roll the world premiere of the Profit Engine commercial. Let's see it. It's time.
Okay, guys, look. There's 4 of us. There's 1 of him. We know what to do. What's the plan?
You had the plan, right?
I did not have the plan this time. I thought I'd give that to you, man. Let's get in there. Let's work hard. Let's call it in. All right, let's go.
Sir Johnson.
More isn't always better. Control the chaos with the Profit Engine. Learn more at commonthreadco.com.
Let's go. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's go.
A masterpiece. Yes.
That's some inside baseball, a little hat tip to our community there. But big shout out to Sean and Jared and Nick and Steven for coming out and letting me make fun of them in our commercial. But those guys were awesome, and it was a fun day out there with Stevie Johnson and the crew to emphasize the point of the Profit Engine, the 4-in-1 system that saves you money, helps you forecast more accurately, and grows your contribution margin more effectively, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Wow. And I think this era of the full stack marketer, the 4-in-1, the Profit Engineer, I think it's here. I think it's here. I think it has to be here. Yeah. Because of, the nature of what we do, the rising ad costs, expenses, etc. I would think, though, Taylor, some of the pushback, I would imagine you've gotten some pushback. I would think some of the pushback is like, Taylor, hey man, you're describing a unicorn, like somebody that can forecast accurately and have input on creative and all of this kind of thing and do it well. And how do you find, train, and equip this person and persons that you guys are developing to bring this forth, for all your clients?
Yeah, it's a great question, and pushing back on Taylor is like a national pastime for some folks. So there's plenty of that. I think it's like a good engagement strategy. There's a guy right now that I think has tailored his bot to just instant argue with me the second I post anything. So
Yes, yes.
welcome to the new era. But yeah, I look, what the promise of an agency has always been is that you operationalize your ideology and experience through every end node of the system, right? CTC has existed for 12 years, has managed billions of dollars of revenue, billions of dollars in ad spend, and the promise is that that's encapsulated in each person you interact with. But the truth is that's absolutely not the case
Oh man,
if you're an employee that started 6 months ago. Like you don't come with 12 years of experience and just show up and know everything that CTC knows. So this has always been for me the biggest problem to solve is how do we create, I call it organizational integrity, which is that the things that we believe and say that we're going to do, we execute consistently with the experience of all of the years of knowledge. And that's been a long journey. And it began first with the idea of centralizing the data. This is like you have seen my 10% OpEx series, I'm sure, Chris, because you just read
yeah.
everything that I put
I
out
do.
just religiously.
I do. I do.
So this begins with the idea that the information is organized into a central location. That was a start. We used to call it the brain back in the day, and so that was the first step of our journey. Was like, okay, we got all these customers, all this data, all this experience. We need to centralize it in a place. Okay, so that was the first part: is the database layers. Where does all the information live? Then it was this question of like, okay, what are we going to enrich that data set with in order to provide an additional layer of value? And that's where forecasting comes in. So now all of a sudden you go from having just historical sets of data to now we have contextualized expectations of every individual metric into the future. So now in the database, I could ask, what's my meta spend supposed to be in 3 weeks? And now that's a point that exists. Then you think about things like incrementality tests or an enrichment of the data. It's an increased data point. Every call that we have that's recorded on Gong, every Slack message that's sent, these are all enrichment of the information. So that's like step one, is that outside of any individual human, the data exists. Now the question is, how does that get deployed through any individual, right?
Yeah.
And this is where the last 90 days have really been transformative in what's happened across AI, is that now everyone, it is intuitive to this idea that you can insert an AI layer on top of that data, query and interact with it, and deploy it through a human. So when we used to think about a person's job, let's just take a media buyer at CTC. Their job every day was to sort of show up. You have a set of accounts. Maybe it's 3 to 6 accounts, depending on how big they are. You come in, you check your performance yesterday. You go log into every account. Maybe you open your statless dashboard. Am I ahead or behind? What adjustments do I need to make? What ads do I need to launch? Right? Well, now if we think about that sort of proactively happening on a persistent basis, like there's a AI that is monitoring all accounts at all times, 24/7, 365, then you've sort of rendered the need to go look at things obsolete. The information sort of comes to you proactively. Then we looked at like the other biggest thing was like 50% of a media buyer's time was building in the ad account, literally clicking
I
campaign.
hate that.
Ads.
I hate it.
It was 50% of the hours of a person's time. So we created something called push to build, where it can just one click deploy based on an analysis. So there's all these ways in which you take the work, you decompose it into its parts, you enrich them with access to information, you add this sort of like, we use Claude Enterprise as sort of like the AI layer that all our people have the statless database plugged into and can query and interact with it all times. And then you sort of think about that metaphor I use sometimes is like a Formula One team, right? If we think about the best Formula One driver, what makes them able to go so fast on the track is the team that builds the car.
That's right.
And so if you think about, well, how do you forecast accurately if you're a new employee at CTC? Well, it's because you didn't build the models that define the forecast. That's Steve and team that have been working on this and have forecasted more money than anybody. And so the model you receive in your statless instance isn't the thing you individually built. It's built on the legacy of the infrastructure of the team. And so you combine this like team support to the activation combined with the good data access and layer, and then the ability for the person to move really fast across all that data with AI and tooling, and all of a sudden it all becomes possible. And so that's been the journey a little bit over time.
I love that so much.
That's incredible.
It fires me up.
It does fire me up. Yeah.
Yeah,
It seems like
Go ahead, Colin.
it just seems like you are doing exactly what most agency owners want to do right now, and is pull the maximum amount of value out of Claude that is physically possible. And it seems like you guys are building these systems where it's transforming the business.
Yeah, we're working really hard at it, and it's all moving so fast. It's really incredible. And You know, Sam Altman has this line, right, that everybody's going to be an API company. And I think in many ways, that's the future for us too, which is
Yeah.
like, I'll give you a good example of how this has like recently completely transformed how we think about building. So it used to be that, there was like a centralized UI for interaction that was Statless or Triple Whale or whatever your business
Yeah.
BI intelligence dashboard was. But like front end UIs are dead. Like it is over because I can instantaneously spin up any report I want, contextualized specifically to you instantaneously off the database. So if I were to say to, you know, my system set up on OpenClaw, but if like somebody in the company's like, all right, hey, I want an analysis of Fi's creative performance in our UGC exclusively compared to all other agencies over time across these dimensions, boom, instantaneous, beautiful UI and HTML live. Like, and the old way would have been like, okay, put in a Jira request to the Statless dev team to make a report that 3 weeks later might end up in Statless, and that's all just gone. And so the front end UI is evolving and changing so fast because anybody can build it now. That really the key is organizational structure around the data, teach people to build the interactivity on the front end, and give customers exactly what they want and need relative to the problem they're facing.
Wow.
You know, Taylor, I think the thing that is so compelling about this idea that is now a reality is that I was endeavoring to do it as much as possible myself just a few years ago when I was at Bruce Bolt and needed to, in as best I could, be a one-man marketing
That's right.
team.
That's right.
And to be honest, though, I just did what I did best, and then other things went to the wayside, and they weren't as good, you know,
That's right.
because that's just where we were at the time. But tell me, operationalizing, enabling, putting your methodology into the tools that you're working with that
Yep.
enhance these new employees, people that you have at CTC. What does their day end up actually looking like?
Yeah.
Growth engineer, day in the life.
Yeah, it's a great question. So one of the things that we've created is that we want to help them hierarchically move through biggest area of opportunity. Like this idea that everything is of equal need at all times just isn't true, right? So there is areas of opportunity relative to their portfolio at any given moment. So one of the big emphasis at CTC is because we use sort of inflated budgets with cost controls as the primary media buying mechanism. There's a really important rule that we have, which is like never cap out. Like it's this idea that your budget should never reach its limitation on any given day, because that's a signal that you've missed opportunity relative to that. So that used to be like a very manual process of like a human looking for things, but now they have a view of pacing to every hour's expectation. And if it's 2 standard deviations above the mean, they get an alert to go move and act on this individual item. So what we're providing them now is there's a dashboard, which is their homepage of they show up, they have a full view of their portfolio, and there's a hierarchic message about where the biggest opportunity or action item is that they can sequence through. And recommendations for what to take. So it's like, okay, I have this view, and you can see all of this is like a setup of interactivity that eventually the system can make the action itself, but we're not at the right stage of this yet. We're still not. We're still just on the read stage primarily in most of these cases, where it's like, here's the information, here's the priority, here's the opportunity, ready, go act on it as necessary. And that's why one person can move through all of that so fast, is because it's like, all right, it's already, so much of the work was deciding what to do. Was coming in and analyzing everything and going, okay, where should I go? And so you would just kind of have to look through every business and go, okay, yesterday was okay. Next business. Oh, okay, yesterday was pretty good. Oh, no, a little problem here. And that would take hours to get through a large number of customers. But now it's like, okay, here are your 7 brands. Here's the campaign you need to go adjust. Go check this on Meta. Contribution margins lagging here. This data point's off. Go solve those 3 problems, and you're good.
That's
and so it's just like transformative to how someone can move through the information. And then the key here, I don't know if you guys saw the video I posted about the context layer, where I showed like giving an AI a screenshot and saying like, give me feedback on this. And then I gave it one of my YouTube videos and said, give it feedback on this.
I did not see that one.
So you should check it out, because what it shows is like, I show my OpenClaw instance like a picture of a Statless dashboard, and it like looks at the metrics, and I'm say, what should I do next? And it like reads it wrong. It like interprets the data incorrectly and like gives me advice that is this experience that a lot of people have, where it's hallucinating or it's bad at numbers. You'll hear these phrases. And then I said, go watch this video. And I gave it my hierarchy of metrics video that our Statless dashboard is designed against, to move through, okay, what is contribution margin? What are business metrics? How should you think about these? And then I said, and then give me a response after consuming that content. and you compare the quality of the secondary response after it consumed that video, and it's
Wow.
night and day. And this is where this phrase, the context layer, people are talking about a lot, which is like, how do you want your AI to interpret the information that you're giving it? And because everything we have is sort of systemically designed around this similar set of ideas, we can at least execute our ideology at the highest level of integrity that we've ever had, because it's non-human dependent. It's really just like this clear interpretation all the way through.
Yeah.
I was
dig
gonna,
it.
I was gonna have that exact follow-up question: is how are you addressing the semantic layer, which is you're calling
That's
the
right.
context layer, and it's so important, and few people talk about this.
That's right.
This is what is allowing for non-hallucinations to take place.
And Colin, I'll even go further, is that if you, like, a lot of my content, I talk about how the number one problem organizations need to solve is what they actually desire. Like, what does the organization want? This is a qualitative, subjective dialogue that usually exists in an interaction between you and I. And so think about like the importance of call transcripts to your database layer, like where if my people are having a conversation with the customer, and let's say a marketing manager is like, I'm getting pressure because we're behind on volume and the CFO wants to move inventory, so we need to go solve this problem. Okay. Well, over here, the data system that's built to optimize contribution margin is lacking that qualitative context of the desired action of the organization, right?
Yeah.
And so this semantic layer level to the desire of the organization, it needs that call transcript to make a recommendation that actually meets the business desire, right? And so I think that's where the other thing we're noticing all the time is that things happen in calls that are really important, that are missing from the
True.
objectivity of the data. And so by bringing that into it and allowing now that to be part of the data set, you get like a continued improvement relative to the customer's stated desires, relative to the business present state, all those things kind of coming together.
Spicy.
It is spicy. It is spicy.
Spicy.
I want to hit this also, Taylor, because I find it compelling coming from you. You've argued, and I think we all want this, especially on the brand side. Everybody wants their costs to go down. That's what everybody wants. And you've been out there saying, hey, the more that we can rely on, equip, and utilize AI to compress everything that we have to do, the mechanical work, then your cost should go down. It stands out for an agency person to say that, because in some ways you're kind of arguing against your own business model. At least it can come off that way.
For sure. So this is actually one of the, I'd say the most contrarian position I have as an agency owner is that I want my price to go down all the time. So in all my competitive set, I think one of the reasons we've had a lot of success over the last 2 years is that the traditional agency model is to try and move upstream to the enterprise and to raise your prices, increase your margin, etc. I think it is the fundamentally wrong way to view the opportunity, especially in the Shopify ecosystem where all of the volume, all of the customers are sub $5 million. Like 95% of the volume of the market is in that area. So how do I win? Well, I use technology and process to create labor leverage to be able to deliver the best possible service at the lowest possible price. Okay. Wow. And all the time, that's what I want to do. And this is like a very Amazonian principle, which is that all the time I want to pass the excess value back to the customer. So if I can deliver for you today what I can for the Profit Engine at $12,000, you better damn believe that that same subset of services is going to be $8,000 next year. And then I'm going to introduce more and more and more value to it. And this is where we create a moat that people can't compete with, is because the labor profile that ends up happening to be able to match my $8,000 price is that you can't, the reason W Promote or Tenuity or Power Digital can't enter that market is because their labor profile doesn't allow them to make money doing it.
Right.
But I want my price, I want it to be such an easy yes for a customer to get value off of my work, that how could you you can't in-house me cheaper, you can't go find a better supplement of return, and the hurdle rate to value is so low that it makes it easy to say yes. And that's what we're after all the time.
Boy,
I have been chasing that so much for software companies, for hurdle rate to value, and so many software companies approach me. It's everything. I can't emphasize this enough. It is everything. Hurdle to value is.
That's exactly right. It's the whole thing. And what people try and do, Colin, is that they want to put themselves on the hook for more and more value, which I think is great. But the problem is that, and this is a thing we talk about all the time, there's only so much I control inside of their business. And so the value relationship sometimes is constrained by factors beyond me. So the easiest one to control. It's not to say that I'm not trying to create more upside. I always am. Always want to help you grow more. But sometimes there's boundaries to that. So the piece that's my control is the price that I can offer the service at. And so I think about that a lot, is that I want to be responsible to the area of greatest agency for myself, which is like, okay, how can I ensure that the price of this is such an easy yes to try out? And that's what we'll think about this frame. Like right now we're framing the Profit Engine as like, it's like $55,000 a month to run head of both meta media buying, creative strategy, MMM, incrementality, all those things. And we're like $12,000. It almost feels like insane. But I think this is how big the gap is of how labor is presently designed and built and software is presently designed to build relative to what's possible. And everybody's out there talking about like these one-person businesses that are going to build to $5 or $10 million. Yet the idea that a marketing team could be smaller is like conceptually we can't fathom. It's like, no. Guys,
right.
I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest risk is that it's one person, 4 went to 1. It's that 50 went to 1. Like that's actually the real thing here. So 4 to 1 should be like easy work. That should be like simple in terms of what's possible right now.
Wow. Well, I love that you are leaning into this so much because it is reality. It's what we're all heading into, and there are some among us that are already there. And I think you guys are a great example. Here's what I would propose. And I'm pitching this live to Colin also.
Sure.
I think that we need to. We've been overdue for a Southern California trip. And that sun, I used to live there. I'm a lover of Orange County. I am.
It calls to you.
It does. It calls to me. I think we need to make a trip. And I hear there's a new fancy studio coming in at CTC.
Yeah, we'll get you guys in the studio. We could do a live episode, let you hang with a couple of the Profit Engineers. Like, we'll get you in the mix.
That's what I'm talking about. We'll run down to San Diego and see Van Man Colin while we're out there.
Huge.
Maybe go get a tennis match with the up in LA.
Exactly.
Let's
go. That's what I'm pitching, and we'll get some live stream access to the Prophit Engineer, and we'll get the view behind the machine. The melding of man and machine. Okay. Well,
Hey, one last thing. Can I? I'm happy to see your face on your Twitter profile now.
All right.
That we got rid of the car, and that we actually
did
see your face in there.
We did.
Good for the brand. I don't know who finally got to you and gave you that advice, but it's good. It's good to be there. Colin, was that you? Did you get him to ditch the cartoon?
I think it was.
I did.
It was.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good.
It's time.
Don't hide that face.
Exactly.
Hey, Oren John complimented my skin yesterday, so I think I need to show my face a little more. I think. Maybe
and
I'll
Oren
add
looks Maxer. He cares a lot about that. So you should take his advice.
Exactly. We're going to. Well, Taylor, man, we appreciate you coming and debuting this. A masterpiece.
Was that the first commercial debut? Was that the first commercial debut?
Yeah, it's the first one. First one. Right. First of many.
That's what I'm here to help you guys keep growing. We love you. You guys are killing it. Always a pleasure to stop by.
We appreciate you, man. We look forward to having you back. See you in SoCal.
See you, Jeff.
See you in SoCal.